Hi, it's Martin, Martin's Engine Services. Well, it's Friday afternoon. I'm did a few errands this morning. I'm doing a bit of a tidy up and tinkering with the tractor and stuff. And I thought, I'll make a little video. Not giving me very much excitement, but as I said before, gives me a chance to stand and talk to myself in the workshop. It's a very brisk but very nice afternoon here in West Norfolk. The wind sure is a-blowing and she's quite chilly. But no rain yet, which is handy. I've had the opportunity to finish a few things off in the garden and been dusting the truck off, getting the cobwebs off because she hasn't really moved for a week or so. Because tomorrow I'm off to Derby to visit my dad and my stepmum, and I'm going to attack the front garden for them. It's not an overly large garden, but there's a bit of a couple of large bushes and trees in there. We chop every year or twice a year, and same in the back garden. So weather permitting, we'll have a nice load of green waste. I like to do it every year, say at least twice a year for them to keep it under control, and it helps them out. I've been starting to collect a few leaves off the drive. The wind was blowing the other way. It was blowing that way yesterday and the day before, and it chucked all the leaves around the back of the house, and I dug out good old Billy Goat, fired her into life, and away she went. It's always a bit funny to start when it's been sitting for a while, because that designer carburetor has that diaphragm fuel pump, and you've got to keep on pulling on the string for ages and ages to get the pulsing in the inlet to pump the fuel up. So I just stick a bit down the air filter and away she goes. When the primer pump's dry, it's the same problem. It's got to suck it up from the tank. But she runs as good as gold, and sucked a couple of bagfuls of leaves up. And I loaded the car up yesterday with loads and loads of rubbish and bits and bobs, and went up the dump and had a good old chuck out. All something I find very satisfying. I also cracked on yesterday afternoon with the mower, or the tractor, and yes, look, the bonnet's on. Now I can assure you that quite amazing fit here was complete fluke. There was no calculations at all involved in this. The bottom of the bonnet, which is a bit light on the subject, the bottom of the bonnet over here, there's the bracket and the hinge mechanism. The bottom of this was all broken off and no reference to where this bolts. So I just riveted and bolted a couple of bits of alley to the bottom. And then I laid this bit of metal in there and thought, that looks about right. Drilled 4 holes, stuck 4 bolts in. And then laid it on the tractor last night before I turned in for the evening. And then just threw the bolts in and shut it down and click. I was expecting it to hit the fuel pump because I'd moved it out, but it misses that. It also misses the bracket I made out of a bit of a Dexian shelving for the fuel tank and here, and it just literally clips around the battery and fits down there. So you see it's just a bit, it just sits in there. I thought, well, what was the chances of that happening? And the gasket here, can't see it, gasket here, this is the air intake, sits on the top of the engine there, sits on the top of the engine here to seal against that. That sits on there perfectly because the air intake's up through here. And that worked out a treat. So all I've got to do now is get these large springs in here which keeps it shut. I think we'll have to unbolt this and wrestle it in, and it's all a bit of a fiddle, but I literally threw it on there and thought, well, we'll have a look, and that's how it fits. It's quite a cool looking machine now with all that on there. It's quite neat. It is missing the 2 sort of like side panels that go in here. They fit on a retaining bolt and a clip and the stud there, but I'm not fussed about them. In fact, I think it looks kind of funky like that, sort of like almost space age. Yeah, it looks good. I like that. Yeah, I might actually get quite creative and get the headlight working for no real reason other than that. There's no real reason at all, but those sort of things I like. So I might get on and finish that off. I've been through it and finished another few odds and ends off. So that's all in order. And I think, right, tyre time. This one was always good. Yep. Now this is the one that's been going down by a couple of pounds over a few days. And let's have a... I think it's actually staying up. I have my suspicions, as I said before. This tyre is there's no real cracks in it, and it's quite got a good bead on, and this rim wasn't rusty. I think this has been sealing against the bead and there's slowly been leaking out, which are now equalised because, yeah, well, whatever. I've had enough of doing tyres on this so they can stay like it. The drive belt should be with me next day or early next week. Then I can carry out a full-scale test, see how the transmission performs under full load, and you can go from there. I mean, as I said before, if the transmission is a major problem, I'll keep on out for a parts machine with a 5-speed version on, or 4-speed one, and I'll just adapt it. The fitment's the same, and the pulley on the top will be the same, just the gear linkage needs a bit of adaptation. I thought I struck lucky yesterday, actually. There was I think it was a Westwood, because they're all basically the same. And it was missing a few front wheels and a couple of bits, but it had the back wheels on and the back axle. Unfortunately, the axle would have bolted straight in with the same setup on the wheels, but it was a single speed axle, and the variable speed unit was actually mounted in the middle of the machine under the floor, which is they've got like a belt comes from the front to a pulley. Then there's a variable speed, I don't know how it works, unit. Then another belt to the back. So obviously I can't adapt that to fit here, which was a shame because that was quite local to me, and the whole machine was £30. It had 2 good tyres on and also a usable fuel tank. But a few of these come up, and I say the Westwood is the same. You also seem to find that there's a lot of other tractors, garden tractors, that look exactly the same, which are painted in a variety of different colours. There's a version of this that's painted in a certain green and yellow, which I think we all know the brand, which of course is eye-wateringly expensive, and there's one in blue, and so in America they sell them under all sorts of brands like Craftsman and Sears Group and Sears Roebuck and etc, etc. So the parts seem quite interchangeable, and I think we can adapt it. So I'm pleased with that. I mean, I never planned to spend this much time working on it, but given it was such a quiet week, and I was in the workshop on a few rainy days, I thought, well, might as well get it done as best as we can. I've spent so little money on this; it's quite amazing, really, and I just can't really complain anything. What have I bought? A couple of oil seals for the gearbox, fuel pump. Start solenoid was about £8 something. The fuel pump was under £7 or under £6 actually. I'll cut the front inner tubes, which I think were about £9 for the two. All seals are about £8. What else? The battery I had, linkages, battery leads, hardware, gear oil I had. Oh, and £3.90 something for a belt. So that is literally all I have spent. The red oxide primer I had for all that, the sheet metal I was given, a couple of quid's worth of electricity and a couple of grinding discs, and that's it. So it sure don't owe me much. So I don't mind actually if the transmission will function as works enough for what I want. I am going to probably buy it the correct fluid once I've worked that one out. That seems to be a mystery upon mystery. There's so many options of what they seem to recommend, but we'll work that out. The rubber bellow that goes in the back that sits into the fill area, which is supposed to be there so you're supposed to not have any air in the transmission. That little rubber bellow is actually somewhere between, is over £80, £90 with the VAT. And you can buy a kit to service these transmissions, which consists of the bellows, the plate, the screws, the hydrostatic fluid, and the ordinary gear oil. And there's nearly £200. And I think, no. So I might try and devise something to do that job or similar, but if it just works what I want, we'll settle on that. I'm just giving the old hedge trimmer a bit of a service at the moment. This was a real cheapy one I bought off eBay about 8-9 years ago, and it's been a fantastic machine. I mean, I in the past have cut all those hedges of mine there with it. I've done, say, lots at my dad's. I had a lot more other work here it's done, and it's been brilliant. The carb gets a little bit dirty, typical two-stroke. I'm just packing the gearbox with grease because it's got those two discs that rotate on the eccentric to make the blades go backwards and forwards, and they take a lot of punishment, but every year I pack it full of grease and away we go. So I can't speak highly enough of it. It's got handle turns and it's for ease of operation, and it's been brilliant. It really has done hundreds of hours of hard work. So Can't fault it. Because when I first came here, I did initially cut just the front hedge, just a little bit over there, which I've scalped now, a bit round the corner. I did actually do that with an electric hedge trimmer. Oh no, that's not a fun job. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm going to try and get those springs on. That could be a little excitable, that job. Finish servicing the hedge trimmer, load the truck up, just got to take a few bits with me, and off early tomorrow and go on Operation Garden Attack. So that'll be a job done. So I know this video's not been about much at all really, but just thought I'd make a quick video, let you know what's going on. Oh, and there's that little Briggs & Stratton engine. I bought that lawnmower a few weeks ago, a month ago, for a whole £5 because I wanted this engine, a potential little project, and I adapted the carb to fit it. I stripped it off the mower yesterday and got rid of all the bits in the mower I didn't want. The usual problem getting the boss off the bottom of the crank, it's seized on, but it has a huge steel disc welded to this and you can't get a puller on it. So I chopped the disc off and got that off, and I've just got to clean that engine up, and I've got a couple of potential ideas for that. Silly ideas, but you know, Martin's in the workshop doing silly ideas, he's happy. So I've had a nice tidy up, everything's in order now. We've rediscovered all the benches, we've discovered all the worktops there, with nothing much over there. We've had a right old sort out, so we're all happy again. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed this video about not a lot happening, and Martin waffling on about his tractor again. So we might have a video next week on something happening with the C-Max. If anything interesting happens, I'll bring you along. So we shall see. Anyhow, thank you very much indeed for watching. Please, please, please like and subscribe so the numbers keep going up, and it is so much appreciated. Bye for now.